Well, welcome back to the next session. I'm joined by a very familiar face, Graeme Glew. Graeme, how you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you all good. So we're all working. So this session, we've got a little bit of an announcement. So, Graeme, I guess it's over to you to make that.
Well, we couldn't wait for you, so we announced it on Monday.
So differently.
No, we've decided to relaunch Formula Woman, and some people will remember that from 17 years ago. And we launched it on Monday, and it's an expression of interest website at the moment. And you would not believe the amount of people that are applying for this. It's remarkable.
Fantastic. Oh, that's great to hear. I mean, we're going into the depths of it in a minute about the championship and how people can get involved and everything else. But let's kind of talk about, how do you feel the comparison is of launching that championship, as you say, back in 2004 versus now? Is it not a case of it's a slightly easier now, but is there quite a difference between the two, do you feel?
Well, yeah, because in 2004 we launched at the NEC at the Autosport International. We spent a fortune on the launch, and it was a hard launch, that was, and this one's a bit of a much softer launch, to say the least.
Yeah.
Because of course then we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
It was we relied on the traditional media, journalists. We got a lot of publicity. All the nationals covered it. We got a lot of TV publicity as well. And eventually what happened was, over the period of probably about 6 months, we ended up with nearly 10,000 applications.
Wow.
And already, we're not there yet so far in a week, but we're heading that way. It's looking good. And at the time, it was all about inviting novice drivers. And it's kind of the same thing again. But it's interesting because quite a few girls have applied or registered for the interest side of things that are actually racing. So we're now sort of in a bit of a dilemma. Do we accept them under a different kind of format, or do we say, no, sorry, you've got to be a novice? But we want to make it very fair. And last time we found 16 girls that were very capable racers by the time we went through the training. Tim Harvey and I were doing it at the time.
Fantastic. Okay, well, so there's so kind of talk us through the stepping stones of how the championship does work.
Yeah, well, it's a competition rather than a championship at the moment. And as I've said, it's an expression of interest website, which is formulawoman.co.uk, not .com. We had .com the first time round, but it's .co.uk. And the expression of interest it's very simple. All people have to do, all women have to do that are interested in driving, is register their email address, their name, and why they want to be a Formula Woman. And then we move on to the next stage, which will probably be in the new year, because we've marketed this on a post-COVID type of initiative, because we don't know when we're going to be completely out of COVID. But when we are, I think what we'll do then is we will launch the application process so that people can actually apply and give us all their information, and then we'll move on to the assessment days. But the idea is to try and base it on what we did in the first place, which is lots of different tests, reactions tests, physical tests, interviews, and of course a driving test. And the driving test will be done at circuits around the UK. Last time we covered Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales. We will do the same again. I can't say too much about the TV side of things. I can't say too much about the car side of things. But what I can say is that this project, which has been on the back burner for 15 years, is well and truly up and running again.
Well, great stuff. Well, I think it's
You
pretty.
can't enter, by the way.
No, well, I know. Damn, God damn it. So, well, look, I mean, for a lot of people, they may or may not know you, but you've obviously got, a great understanding of the sport. Obviously, launching that championship. You've got your son who's raced on the Tocker package as well. So, kind of, do you want to tell people about yourself and your experiences?
Yeah, well, Philip was one of the instructors in the early days. He's a bit older now, and he's still doing a lot of coaching. So I'd like to get Philip involved again. He's a big believer in Formula One. He saw what we did and how it worked last time. And yeah, I mean, my history goes back to actually designing and racing a Formula Ford many years ago, which was a complete disaster, I may add. But having said that, my father bought me a Formula Ford and I went racing. And then, as we do, I ran out of money. So what we did was we rented our car out, and that's when I started up the racing school at Cadwell Park. In fact, the very first racing school day at Cadwell, there was 4 people, 1 car, and it just grew from there. And we were one of the biggest racing schools in the world. We had people coming from all over the world to come and drive our cars, because we had this philosophy that we don't teach you to drive a racing car, we teach you to race a racing car. And that was a very good strapline, because it provided a lot of very successful drivers to come along and come to our racing school. So after the racing school, I ended up getting involved in driver management, and I was managing a young driver called Oliver Gavin. At the time was racing Formula First. We had our own team. He then went on to be British Formula 3 champion, and he went on to be a test driver for Formula 1 in the Pacific Grand Prix car. Neither of you guys will remember that, but it was an interesting period that got me into Formula 1, particularly on the marketing, sponsorship and hospitality side. So after Pacific, unfortunately, folded after 2 years, I then went to Arrows, worked for a guy called Jackie Oliver, who still does some historic racing, and then Tom Walkinshaw. And then I'd started to do a little bit of work with McLaren and Eddie Jordan and Alain Prost, with mainly the sponsorship side. And then after that, I thought, I've had enough of this. I want to do something for women. I want to invite women to come and test their skills. Because let's face it, motorsport is one of the few sports that doesn't have a female category. Okay, you've got the W Series, which is great, because you've got an opportunity for women who've raced from probably the age of 5, 6 in go-karts, and they've developed their skills. But I want to make one point very clear, and that is that the winner of this competition this time round will not be competing, or the winners, should I say, will not be competing against each other. They will be competing against their counterpart gender. So that's a little clue as to the way we're heading with this.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds pretty interesting.
I think that's my potted history. After Formula Woman, I then went on to do lots of coaching, driver management, and consulting, mainly motorsport consulting. But this has been on the back burner, and it's been a bit of a challenge, really. And I thought, if we don't do it now, we'll never do it. And in the middle of COVID, why not? Let's get the thing going again.
Yep.
So Graeme, what's the next step then for somebody? If we've got any females watching this and thinking, actually, this sounds pretty good, do they go to your website just to register their interest?
Yeah, they've got nothing to lose. They can register their interest, just put their name in and their email address, and we will send them an acknowledgement email in return. We want to keep everybody updated as we go along. So once they've registered, they're kind of into the inner circle, so to speak. And then the idea is that we will produce an application process once we can know that we're out of COVID, we know which circuits we're doing the assessments. It's interestingly, I had an email yesterday from Stuart Gray at Knockhill saying, we did Formula Woman for you back in the old days. Can we do it again? Well, of course they can. You know, we want to be up in Scotland. We want to be over at Pembury. We even went to Kyrgyzstan in Ireland to do the assessment. So we will travel. And interestingly, out of the expression of interest so far, I would say 10% of the interest is coming from overseas. So that could be quite interesting, getting girls from overseas, women coming over here, doing the assessment. We had them last time, but not so many as it looks as though we're going to get this time.
Fantastic. Now, I've got to ask as well, Graeme, as I've got you here, the picture behind you, can you tell us the cars and the circuit? It's caught my eye the whole time you've been on.
That is Juan Manuel Fangio, and that is a Mercedes, and it's at Buenos Aires. And I picked that up when I did the last of the Argentinian Grand Prix back in, it would be 1995, I think. So yeah, it's an interesting shot. I mean, I've got pictures all over the place. In fact, I've got a couple of props here for you, if I can get them out. This is, if you can see this. This is actually. There we go. This is actually this is signed by the 16 girls that entered the competition last time. This was the RXA Privilege Insurance Formula Woman Championship at Knock Hill, and that was the start. And leading that race, I think it is Margot Gardner from Scotland, followed hard on the heels by Natasha Furman, who won the first Formula Woman Championship. Memories, huh?
Yeah, I'd say. Well, I guess we should also probably touch on the Series Elite side of things, because obviously that's changed.
Oh, I've got one more. Sorry to interrupt. I've got one more to show you before we move on. I don't know if you can see this one. That's a Guinness record. It's supposed to go wow.
That is wow. That is very well.
And that's when we went on to the Caterhams, and we had we set that record at Pembrey with 62 women competing against each other.
Wow.
It was absolute carnage.
There you go. You got the wow in the end. Wow.
Yeah, that is the wow moment.
Great stuff. Yeah, so as I say, the Series Elite Championship as well in the Jaguars. So that's other thing you've been part of over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, we're going a different route with that now. We've actually taken one car and we've developed it. To be an endurance car, because one of our drivers is a guy called Emmanuel Vinca, and he has been doing a lot of endurance races. We did a couple of GT Cup races. We found that we were not particularly on the pace. We were okay in the damp and wet conditions, but we weren't sort of with I think the classes were against us in a way. But it's a great championship, and we probably will do some more next year, because we've got 2 or 3 drivers wanting to do that. So we might do some GT Cup, but as far as Emmanuel's concerned, we're going to take his car and take it to do things like Spa 6 hours, Nürburgring, and really try to go to town on the endurance side of it. And also with the Jaguars, we will probably use them for part of the process of Formula Woman as well.
Okay. Yeah.
We've had a couple of comments come in actually as well, Graeme, about this. Mark Grimm says it's a fantastic initiative. We've got Charlotte Birch Racing. She's commented saying she's excited for this. Thumbs up. And Edward Hardy says it's a brilliant initiative, huge potential. And I think we all agree with that.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm getting some very nice sort of comments on LinkedIn and emails, and it always was a good idea, even though I say so myself, but it's an even better idea now, because with social media, I think a lot of people said to me back in 2004, and when we did it with the Caterhams, that they wish they'd known about it. Well, we did as much as we could with all the, the press coverage that we got. So I think with social media, it'll really open the floodgates, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I've no doubt it will, and I think it's again, it's a shame that the events and everything else have struggled this year, but hopefully this is just another platform that every time someone else hears about it, it kind of spreads the word and extends it that little bit further.
Yeah, I think if everybody can spread the word, my plan, and hopefully I can do this, is everybody will get some kind of an assessment. Because I think it's important to get people involved and doing things. And even if they don't get through to the next stage, I remember last time people who did the first part, they thoroughly enjoyed it. And some of them went off and did their own thing. So it's literally getting women into the sport at no cost. It's as simple as that. It's a great opportunity. No,
it certainly is. So if anyone wants to, any females want to find out more, they can just obviously head over to your website, which is
formulawoman.co.uk, and it's all there. It's a fairly basic site, and it's got register your interest on there, and simple as that. And we will respond to every single person that registers.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on today, Graeme. Wish you all the best with it. So keep us in the loop and see how things go. And we'll now go to the adverts ready for the next session. But again, thank you very much. And
I'd just like to say one thing. I was a bit nervous about logging into here, but it's a doddle, isn't it? It's dead easy.
Oh,
it's a great job, by the way.
Thank you very much. No, I appreciate it. Good.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks very much. Anyway.
Thanks, Graeme.
See you soon.
Performance Box Touch is not only a super accurate performance meter, it can also be used as a sophisticated predictive lap timer, using GPS rather than distance to allow you to accurately compare how your current lap time compares with your fastest, corner by corner. Quick and easy to install, it automatically identifies the circuit you are driving on and loads the relevant track maps from our extensive database. Using a performance box for the first time, VW Classic Championship racer Dan Rose talks us through how he benefited from the system's bright delta speed LEDs on track.
Yeah, a few times you'd go in and basically it would come up green, so you thought, yeah, and then mid-bend it was really sort of pushing on a bit, and you'd come out and you was red, so you had to get the balance right of going in and getting the green going in and the green coming out, so you knew that was the best way through there.
Using a lap timer mode, Dan was able to monitor how modifications to his car affected his performance on track.
Like changing the roll bars, we could see that we're a couple of seconds slower straight away and that certain areas it's not working. And then when you flick back, it's working and it shows up on the times and also in your sectors. So the predictive lap times really work.
Given a quick lesson on the Circuit Tools data analysis software to pinpoint exactly where time is being lost and then going through his data from the day, Dan said,
Looking back at the data now, we're a bit further on in the day. We can see that certain lines worked, certain lines didn't. Carrying a bit more speed into the first bend seems to have given us a bit more pace. And also we can look at different sectors where in a couple of laps I was quicker, but actually putting all those sectors together so that they work, which we've looked at, and then we'll go back out and have another go. But so far we've gained 2 or 3 seconds throughout the day, which has really worked well with us. So when we come back racing we should be up there.
Hi, Chris Dawes here. I've stepped away from the commentary box for a change and I'm in front of the camera because this time I'm talking about my business, Open Doors Training. Founded by myself as a project of passion because I felt so lucky that I get paid to do the things I do now. Commentating, hosting awards, voiceover artist, TV, radio, podcasts, live shows, you name it, all of those things are an absolute privilege. Especially when I came from someone who was paralysed by fear when I had to present at university and when I first went into business after graduating. But thankfully, I got accused of making IT entertaining when I was in my sales and marketing role. I know, not that easy, but I'm proud of that one. And that's what really was the trigger, enabled me to carry on with all the different things I do now. I want to now help others open doors that they may not yet know exist. And you never will know exist unless you put yourself in a position where you can be heard. Whether that's in business, in public sector, in sport, all of it is the same. If you're silent, no one will know you exist and how good you are at things. You've got to put yourself in a position where you open those doors, at least so that you can knock on the doors and they know you are there. So that is what we do here at Open Doors Training. It's not about creating blueprints of presenters or media darlings or whatever it may be. It's about unlocking you. Instead of being the contained version of you, we want to get 110% of you. You probably exaggerate it by 10%. I'm sure I'm not like this when I'm at home on the sofa. The wife would kill me. But it is about still being you. And that is what we work on within all of our training. So come on over, opendoorstraining.co.uk. Let's have a conversation to see how we may be able to assist you going into, hopefully, a better year in 2021.
So my name's Tom Ingram. I'm competing in the British Touring Car Championship with Team Toyota GB. So the BTCC is one of the toughest championships around. There's so many quick drivers. So to get the edge, you've got to be looking for any little millisecond of improvement. So whether that be from training hard at the gym or having the best kit around, you've got to find the edge any way possible. So the thing I love about the Walero products the most is the temperature regulation. And not only does it regulate my temperature and keep me cool when it's really hot, but when we're testing in the middle of winter, it keeps me warm as well. The feel of these is amazing. They're so soft, you know, you could wear this to bed and be more than happy. So the lower under has really helped my performance and reduced the effects of the heat on my body and the heat fatigue that I'm finding. That's where I'm finding a big improvement. So over the course of it doesn't matter if I'm testing, it doesn't matter if I'm racing, I'm just not feeling quite as fatigued as I would have been without it.